One of the biggest problems for Nintendo consoles in recent generations has been the lack of third-party support. Sure, the support level varies console to console, but Nintendo has long dragged behind, say, the Xbox and PlayStation systems. And I think it's time to really play some catch-up with the Switch. And before you go into the comments with the whole, everything's fine, everything's good, listing every third-party game currently coming to the system, which I always love people's little lists, like when I talk about there not being a lot of games for the Switch, there's always some people that have to go and list every single game, including the indies. It's like, he didn't even mention Vroom in the Night Sky, what an idiot! Yeah, forgot about that big system seller, I guess. But in terms of just telling me, oh no, don't worry, third parties are on board now with the Switch, I've heard it all before. In fact, that was the original selling point of the Wii U, remember? The big E3 presentation? Now you're going to be able to play games like Assassin's Creed, Mass Effect, and Arkham City on your Nintendo console. Yeah, how long did that last? Now there's a variety of factors that have played into this, predominantly the fact that Nintendo has tried to provide users with an alternative to the competition, rather than just mimicking them. But one of the biggest issues, in my view, has been this sort of chicken versus the egg conundrum when it comes to third-party devs and Nintendo players. Third-party devs seem to feel like Nintendo players only support Nintendo games on Nintendo hardware, while the players claim the issue lies more with weak ports that may perform poorly or be missing features compared to versions on other consoles. Especially since so many people these days have more than one system to play on, it's like, oh, if I can buy a better, more complete version on something else, sure, why not buy it? I feel like there's truth to both of these sides and some good reasons behind them too, like, I agree, games are often weaker on Nintendo platforms and that's certainly not a selling point, but compromises often have to be made to account for Nintendo's hardware choices. And let's be real, that's also going to be an issue with the Switch, but I think given the support the console is seeing, players are willing to make that compromise. Thanks to the clear marketing, Switch owners know that the perk to owning the system is that you can take all your games on the go, but obviously that luxury is going to come at a cost, often in areas like visuals and graphical fidelity. And unlike, say, the Wii U, I think Switch owners are clear on that trade-off, and more importantly, are willing to sacrifice performance for portability in a lot of cases. And sure, a lot of games aren't going to perform as well on the Switch as other consoles sales-wise right now, because it's still in its infancy in terms of building that install base, but I'd say companies that are looking to branch out into more spaces in gaming should definitely be looking at the Switch. Take Bethesda, for instance. We're getting Skyrim on the Switch, but that's an older game. What about something like the new Doom or Fallout 4? Doom may take a good amount of tweaking to get running on the Switch, especially if you wanted to hit that sweet 60 frames, and Fallout is very massive. A lot of work, I'd assume, would have to go into either game, but Bethesda is currently putting a lot of effort in the VR space. Both Fallout 4 and Doom are getting VR versions. For those to work, the games also have to be greatly altered. Elements like the movement controls have to be totally revamped. And let's be real, VR isn't exactly taking off. I see deals constantly for the PlayStation VR headset as well as bundles for the Oculus Rift and HTC Vive. So I highly doubt any of them are flying off the shelves. I think it's safe to assume these VR versions of these games aren't going to see anything near the numbers the original standard console version saw either. In fact, I'd go as far to say I bet they would sell more Switch versions of these games than VR ones. Granted, that's just based on the demand I see personally between Switches versus VR sets. Also, of course, I can't comment on the work that needs to go into making a Switch version of a game versus a VR version, but I can't imagine the Switch version requiring that much more effort. And perhaps Skyrim is a testing ground for that, as if that title sells well on the Switch, it's pretty likely, I would assume, that Bethesda will look into bringing more games over. And that's my other point I'd like to offer up to devs. It's not like you have to start with bringing your latest and greatest titles over, or even making new stuff from the ground up just for the Switch right off the bat. Let's get some more classic games, remasters, and collection type deals. I've long proposed that I think a Dark Souls collection would be awesome for the Switch. Of course, something like Kingdom Hearts, we've seen all the handheld versions on the 3DS, so why not give Switch owners the remastered versions of 1 and 2? There's nothing wrong with going this route to play it safe and test the waters in terms of what demand is like for your games on the Switch. And for consumers, it's simple enough: support the games you want to play. I mean, you know, you might have 15 different versions at this point of Skyrim, but if you're a Bethesda fan and you want to see more Bethesda games on the Switch, you might want to consider buying a 16th version. At least it's portable, I guess. But yeah, when you see something coming over to the Switch that is from a company you like, or, you know, a type of game you want to play, if it's good, support it. I would never... Some people sometimes come at me like, oh, you're like a salesman for these games when you say to support, so tell people to support them. I have never once said support a game that's bad just to get more games. Okay? Only support stuff that's good. I would never argue that you should, just bite the bullet and buy a bad game so that maybe they'll send some good games over. I would never say that. If a game comes out on the Switch and it's good and you want to see more of it, support it. It's simple. And with that, this video is a wrap. Let me know what you think about the future of third-party support for the Switch in the comments. What games would you like to see come over to the system? As always, I'm Zaccari, and thanks for watching.